How about now? How about now? I forgot I used this OBS. I was on another platform. I think the last time I used OBS. Uh, so I had some stuff configured and I went live. I went to go live. I'm like, why it's not doing on Twitch? Like, oh, it's converted to the other platform. So hopefully everything's all right now. And I did have my mic muted on that one. So anyway, but I was off last week. Glad to be back this week to bring some stories and some videos along. Tim's in here. If you don't know who Tim is, he is the host of the Mental Health Hour, which I will put up on here real quick. And I also got a chat box up here, which is great. Usually on OBS, I didn't do it, so there you go. We're gonna go ahead and rate him after our program tonight. Um, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, Wednesday nights, every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. And tonight's show will be live Q&A part 2. And proud of Tim and Gemma, by the way. 30 questions. 30 questions submitted. They could only get to half last week, so they're going to do the other half tonight. But incredible, a lot of support on that show and all the questions being in, and also good questions as well. So we're gonna go rate them and see more questions and more answers. So unreal, right? It is very unreal. 30 questions. That's amazing, amazing. That's really shows that the program is really growing and people are really caring. So yeah, after this show here, we're gonna go rate them afterwards. So I say, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the show. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and let's see how this works. Because Tim was mentioning about his computer, and I have an update pending on my computer, but I am gonna roll with this program and see. We're gonna go roll with this program. All right. So I'm looking at the screen here. All right. So our first story tonight, by the way, we got how many we got tonight? I think we got 8 positive stories tonight and 4 videos, 2 inspirational and 2 quotes. So got a good show tonight. So hopefully you guys can tune in, listen, have it in the background, and anything like that. Um, Thanks for your help and support as well. I'll be listening while working on tonight's show in case you don't see me chatting in. No problem, Tim. No problem. Thank you for listening, man. Appreciate it. I thank you for supporting the show as well, supporting me as well. Really do appreciate it. Without you and the others, I wouldn't be doing this. So thank you so much as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our first story for tonight. A new sensor can tell whether you have COVID-19 or the flu, and it do it within 10 seconds. So this is from the Good News Network for April 1st of 2023. We are starting all of our stories for the month of April, and before that, make sure to auto-host this to your Twitch channels and share on social media as we try to spread some positivity in 2023. Now, I assume y'all can hear me. I don't have the box where I'm on screen, so I think we're going to roll with this and see. I'm not going to turn on my webcam, so we're gonna roll with this and see how this goes. And in case somebody comes on the comments like, "Where's Raymond? Is this live?" Then I'll pop myself up. But this is live. This is live. All right. So, if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started with our first story tonight of the show. As I water up myself as well. Here we go. Have a cough, sore throat, and congestion. Any number of respiratory viruses could be responsible. Conventional tests can identify the culprits by relying on chemical reactions, but researchers now want to swap chemistry tests for electrical changes sensed by nanomaterials. They reported using a single atom thick nanomaterial to build a device that can simultaneously detect the presence of COVID 19 and the flu, at much lower levels and much more quickly than conventional tests for either. The symptoms of both flu and COVID 19 overlap considerably, making it difficult to distinguish between them, notes Deji Akawande, PhD, who presented the work at a recent meeting of the American Chemical Society. Quote, when both of these viruses are circulating together, as they did earlier this winter, it would be immensely useful to have a sensor that can simultaneously detect whether you have COVID, flu, none of the above, or both, said Akinwande of the University of Texas at Austin. The device could also be modified to test for other infections and for other applications as well. Continuing on with the story, the group, including Dmitry Kareev, PhD, constructed the sensor using a graphene, a single layer of carbon atoms arranged in a hexagonal lattice pattern. Its extreme thinness renders graphene highly sensitive to any electrical changes in its environment. Quote, these ultra-thin nanomaterials generally hold the record for best sensitivity, even down to the detection of single atoms, and they can improve the ability to detect very small quantities of basically anything that needs to be sensed, whether it's bacteria or viruses, in gas or in blood, Ekawande said in a press release. To build the infection sensor, the researchers had to make graphene respond to the presence of viral protein. To do so, they looked to the immune system, which produces antibodies that are fine tuned to recognize and latch onto particular pathogens. The researchers linked antibodies from SARS CoV 2, the virus that causes COVID 19, and the flu virus to graphene. When a sample from an infected person is placed on the sensor, these antibodies bind to their target proteins, prompting a change in the electrical current. Continuing on, the researchers did not have the safety facilities needed to use whole, active flu, or SARS CoV 2 viruses to test the roughly square inch sensor. To substitute, they used proteins from these viruses delivered in fluid that resembles saliva. The results indicated that not only could the sensor detect the presence of the proteins, it could do so when they were present at extremely low quantities. The sensitivity suggested to Akawandi that the sensor could be used for detecting the much more sparse viral particles found in breath. The sensor also worked quickly, returning results within about 10 seconds of dropping any sample. By comparison, conventional COVID 19 tests can take hours, depending on the type, and a dual COVID and flu test recently authorized by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration takes 30 minutes to produce results. Akawandi and his group are working to improve its performance further, including by expanding the slate of viruses it can detect. No word on when it will be available to airports and healthcare providers, but with funding from the National Science Foundation, they're developing a sensor designed to test for SARS CoV 2 variants such as Omicron and Delta, and even future virus strains. So, how amazing is that? I think, again, this little square thing here um, just takes, you know, um, samples, saliva, and all of that. I think with the regular COVID tests, we got to do this whole swabbing in the nose thing and see if we have COVID or not. But um, this is actually something kind of great here to determine between the two viruses of COVID 19 and a flu, because it can be really hard to tell when you have which one. And then the first thing we get sick, we was like, oh, let me take a COVID test because we don't know if we have COVID. And I think I've done that once, and I was like, I hope I don't have it. And I think it was just a straight out flu. So, but also this will be a little bit quicker as well to determine if you have COVID or the flu. So, very innovative stuff there to start off the show here. with the sensor here. So can be very, very fast to determining what kind of sicknesses you have with just a sample, a sample from your body, like saliva or something. So with 10 seconds as well. So, but new sensor can tell whether you have COVID-19 or the flu and do it within 10 seconds. And this is for the Good News Network for April 1st of 2023. Very innovative stuff there to determine what you have in 10 seconds. That's kind of nice there. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to story number 2 for this afternoon. If you're tuning in, welcome to A Ray of Sunshine. I am Raymond, aka A Ray of Sunshine, on The Voice. I don't have myself on the screen, but I am on The Voice this afternoon. So, but it's so good to see you here. COVID equals junk, Tim says. I think we bypassed it now, but yeah, hopefully we won't have to worry about. Well, I mean, we might have to, but hopefully, at least all the mainstream of COVID is hopefully gone. So we just have to worry about flus and stuff, hopefully. But anyway, let's move on to story 2. They fell in love on next door after living in the same neighborhood for 40 years but never meeting. And this is from the Good News Network for April 2nd of 2023. So got an incredible relationship story here to get through. I'm pretty sure if they quote it next door, it must be an online app. So a couple falls in love again on Nextdoor after 40 years in the same neighborhood. So this is going to be an interesting story. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started with story number 2 of this evening. Here we go. This couple fell in love messaging on Nextdoor after 40 years of living in the same neighborhood but never meeting. Chris Place logged into the hyperlocal online bulletin board to look for bargains when he spotted Michelle Tooby. The 44-year-old loved her pic, so sent a wave notification and was delighted when she popped one back. After 2 weeks of chatting online, they went on a date and realized that while they had never met, they had so much in common. They hung out in the same park as kids, had children at the same schools, visited the same pubs, and had never lived more than a few minutes' walk from each other in Mansfield, Nottinghamshire, England. 7 months later, after their first message, the pair are quite the item, spending half of their time together. They found they shared loads of hobbies like going out, driving, and gardening. Michelle even recognized Chris's car. Quote, "We've crossed paths no end of time since we were very young," said Chris. "It's like it just wasn't meant to happen until now." So I think this is a snippet of Chris's thing there. They sent the waves to each other. Hello, hello. Hi, Michelle and Chris. I'm not a weirdo or anything. How are you? And Michelle wrote back, hi, Chris. How are you? So kind of interesting that they took a snippet from their chat there. Let's continue on. Quote, "It was the last thing I expected. It's great because if we get married, or surname will be place to be, like place to be." Oh, never thought of that. Place to be. That's kind of weird. Maybe that is meant to be. But anyway, let's continue. Um, Michelle recalled, "Neither of us were looking for love. We completely given up. I'm so glad we found each other. It's just meant to be, and it's the right time now. It's like our relationship waited for the right moment." Chris's 22-year-old daughter and Michelle's son, 20, had shared schools over the years. Chris says, "I was looking for something out of the ordinary, and that's exactly what I found. She's a very kind person, and you can see that in her face. I mean, don't get me wrong, she can be very sassy too. As soon as we started chatting, we got on like a house on fire. There was something extraordinarily special about it." Um, so we continue on. We feel so comfortable together, and it keeps getting better and better even now. Nextdoor is an app where neighbors can message other members from the community, plan meetups, and share local information. Smitten Chris reveals he's planning for the future but hasn't popped the question yet. Nextdoor. The Nextdoor app, ladies and gentlemen. Meet your neighbors, date them, and see what happens. But that's an incredible story of of love in a weird way, I guess. You know, he's looking for something on the app, and then he's just sees Michelle there. It's like, oh hey Michelle, like hi Chris, and and then they started to talk and get to know each other, and now look at them, a nice happy couple there. So very interesting. Nextdoor app. I have to look that up. I thought I might have heard of that app before, but I don't know if it's here in the United States. But um, you never know where you will find people. So in real life, online, on an app, or something like that. So um, very good stuff here. So, story number two, they fell in love on Nextdoor after living in the same neighborhood for 40 years but never met. And this is from the Good News Network for April 2nd of 2023. I feel like I've done a story like that one time before where someone dated and um, after a certain amount of years and then they found each other and now they're dating or got married and all of that stuff. Very interesting stuff when you read. And yeah, very interesting, actually. All right. So we're on to story number three here for this afternoon or this evening or this morning, wherever you are. And story number three, mom alters her old prom dress for 5-year-old to wear to daddy daughter dance. And this is for the Good News Network for April 2nd of 2023. So, if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and take a look at another incredible story here. Again, a mom alters her old prom dress for 5-year-old to wear to the daddy daughter dance. So the dress looks nice. So, um, wow, good dress there. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the story. An Oklahoma mom took a scissors to her old prom dress so that her little girl could wear it to her daddy daughter dance, and the results were fantastic. Lexi Donaldson was struggling to find the perfect yet affordable dress for 5-year-old daughter Sterling when she suddenly remembered she still had her own prom dress. The 26-year-old mother of three had donned a dress 11 years ago when she joined her high school sweetheart Dewey for their prom. The couple had begun dating a couple of months before after being schoolmates since they were 10, and 4 years later they were married. Lexi adored the turquoise dress and often put it on for fun and was praised by little Sterling, who called it Mommy's Elsa dress. Continuing on, Lexi called her own mom to help with the alterations, and the pair set about to shorten and slim down the dress. The two seamstresses played around with the dress, trying to rearrange it before cutting the tulle at the bottom and tightening the chest to make it smaller. And they only needed around 2 hours on the sewing machine. Quote, when I first told Sterling before it was altered, this is going to be your dress now, she was really confused. But she was so excited once we started cutting and sewing. When she tried it on, she didn't want to take it off. It looked adorable on her. So there's daddy and daughter there. Right there. It's a nice dress. Nice dress on her there. Continuing on, now she tells others it's my Elsa dress. Quote, I get very emotional thinking about that moment. Lexi had to tell her that she couldn't wear the gown before the special dance, but afterwards she can wear it every day. Dewey woke up early and went to buy his daughter's flowers, and Lexi got emotional, snapping pictures of them wearing their outfits before the dance. Quote, remembering our prom, I couldn't have imagined he would be such an amazing dad. Lexi is so happy that her mom, Karina Logan, is sentimental and held on to some of the old clothes. Now Sterling wears the dress so much the straps have ripped off, but Lexi has another going dress worn to another prom that Sterling might wear to her own formal dance in the future. That's incredible, seeing having your own daughter wear the dress of the mother for what 10 years ago. So that's very very incredible to witness there. And just looking at the before and after, of course, the dad's going to be the same. Well, back then the left is of her, uh, of Lexi there with Dewey, and now you see Dewey there with her daughter Sterling there, and um, both ladies wearing the same dress. So um, just very, very, very incredible to look at, um, and how nice of that as well. Um, just for the daughter to partake in something um, important. Her mother went to the prom to dance, and then now the daughter gets to wear the same dress to a father-daughter dance. Just very incredible stuff um, to read there. So, mom alters her old prom dress for 5-year-old to wear to daddy-daughter dance. And this is from the Good News Network for April 2nd of 2023. As we will move on to story number 4, and we are halfway through positive stories, and after that we're going to go ahead and go into videos afterwards, so hopefully you guys will stay tuned for that. As we move on to story number 4, and we're going to do another science related story here, as researchers captures video of the deepest fish ever recorded almost 5 miles below surface near Japan. And this is from Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for April 4th of 2023. So if you guys are ready, this is kind of an odd looking fish, by the way. Um, it kind of looks like a lizard and a fish at the same time to me, but we shall see. So let's go ahead and get started with story number 4 here. Again, researchers captured video of the deepest fish ever recorded almost 5 miles below surface near Japan. So here we go. An as of yet undescribed species of snailfish was recently recorded swimming about a mind-boggling 5 miles under the surface of the ocean. An unmanned excuse me, submersible called a lander used a baited trap to record several pseudoleparus individuals swimming about at a depth of 8,336 meters in the Izu Ogasawara Trench, southeast of Japan. Hopefully, I said that right. Izu Ogasawara Trench. Okay. The expedition was organized by the Mandaroo University of Western Australia's Deep Sea Research Centre in partnership with the Tokyo University of Marine Science and Technology. The Izu Akasora Trench is one of 3 the team will explore, the deepest being more than 9 kilometers down. This clueless looking fish has several adaptations to living in an area where the pressure is 800 times greater than at sea level. Rather than scales, it has a gelatinous outer mass, which theorized to be less susceptible to pressure. In evolutionary speaking, a cheap adaptation. They also don't have swim bladders, which is a small pocket of gas typical of most fish. Trying to maintain gas in those kinds of pressure zones is simply untainable. However, the expedition's chief scientist, who is also the founder of the Menderu UWA Deep Sea Research Center, Professor Alan Jameson, told The Guardian that this snailfish is not a deep sea fish. Um, let's see. It's not a okay, continue on. Quote, they're the deepest fish in the world, but they're not a deep sea fish, said Professor Jameson. But they spectated into every corner of the globe and they've overtaken all the deep sea fish. These are 1,000 meters deep than what you might think of as being a deep sea fish. Indeed, snailfish have been recorded living in a shallow water as well, and most other pelagic zones down to the bottom of the trenches Jameson is exploring. Quote, fish all have osmolyte, a fluid in their cells that use to counteract pressure. It's the thing that makes that fish smell, Jameson said. One of the only things when you look at fish from a biochemical point of view that is linear with depth is the concentration of that fluid. He goes further to say that below 5 miles, slight changes in temperature prevent fish from increasing the concentration of osmolalite in their cells, predicting that fish simply can't handle the pressure once depths retreat a further 1,200 feet down. So let's go ahead and take a look at the video here that I'm about to show. And I think this is where researchers are capturing this unrecognized snailfish. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and take a look at the video here.
Snailfish are amazing because they are not a deep sea fish. So they're the deepest fish in the world, but they're not a deep sea fish. But they've speciated into every corner of the globe and they've overtaken all the deep sea fish. So these ones, as you see in the video, are 1,000 meters deeper than what you would normally think of as being a deep sea fish.
All right, so that video was from The Guardian there, and a little bit of a snippet of the snailfish there, and even be a little bit up close to seeing it, but um, very interesting to know a new species of fish, um, and again they call it snailfish. It looks like to me a fish that looks like a lizard. Just seeing that up close, so um, a very cool expedition they went to, and hopefully they will discover more about this fish because um, it's very incredible they could go that deep, 5 miles below the surface. That's very deep into the water. So I can tell you they can swim very deep down the water, very deep down the water. So, but hopefully they will learn more about this fish as well. Of course, more of the habitat, um, and all of that. So this is kind of like a rare thing to see in the waters. All right, so researchers captured video of deepest fish ever recorded, almost 5 miles below the surface near Japan. And this is for Eddie Corbley of the Good News Network for April 4th of 2023. As we move on to story number, I think we're on 5, ain't we? Yep, story number 5 coming up. And our next 2 stories are going to be a little bit of heroics here with the video. So um, we always like to do some heroic video stuff here on the show. In our next story, our 5th story, chef breaks open sinking car's window with his elbow to save trapped motorists. And this is for Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for April 4th of 2023. Again, a chef breaks open a sinking car's window with his elbow to save a trapped motorist. It looked like they were sinking down the water here. So, if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started with story number 5. Here we go. Down in Baltimore's Inner Harbor, the sous chef of a beloved restaurant, Phillips Seafood. I think I know where that is. I did live in Maryland, and I really went to Baltimore, but I think I know where Phillips Seafood is. Replaced his apron for a cape as he cooked up a heroic rescue of a drowning motorist. An unidentified man drove straight into the frigid and filthy mid-March harbor water after suffering what reports say was a mental health crisis. Seeing this, sous chef Tom Walsh jumped in to rescue him. Quote, "I hope he's okay," said witness Cher Briscoe. "But the man that saved him, I hope he gets a reward and some money." Once in the water, Walsh proved himself to be immensely strong because he was able to break open the glass of the car with his elbow, an effort that saw him spend a short while in the hospital recovering. According to the restaurant spokesperson who identified Walsh to news media, Walsh is humble, private, and does not want attention. So this is a tweet. Kelsey Kushner might be one of the reporters there. So she tweeted, "A neighbor just shared photos with me from the rescue at the Inner Harbor. They said it was an older man who was in the car. They believe a worker from Phillips jumped into the water, broke the window, and pulled out the driver." And there's a couple of pictures that was on that tweet there. Hey Tony, how you doing, man? So good to see you. So good to see you. Scrolling through, just checking in. I'm doing good. So good to see you. Welcome to the show. Um, on the fifth story here about a sous chef breaking in to help someone with the car there. Thank you for the posture check. You know I'm gonna turn my camera on in a minute. Let's continue on at the end. Nevertheless, witnesses have no doubt in their minds the man is a hero. Walsh has since been discharged from the hospital. All right, before we get to the video, we got a posture check here. I said I knew somebody's going to come on and be like, "Hey, is Raymond really on?" Hold on for a sec. Is this the button? Yep, that's me. I'm here. uh, yeah, Tim was in here earlier. He's probably still is. He's probably getting ready for the mental health hour. But thank you for the first of all the posture check, and thank you for the hydrate. Really do appreciate you, Tony. Hopefully everything is well. I'm going to give him a shout out here real quick. So yes, guys, make sure to follow Tony here. Great supporter of streamers as well. Known Tony since the Haps days. Um, so there we go, and the shout out was given. So make sure to give Tony a follow, and also give Tim a follow. But like I said, we'll do with Tim and all that stuff at the end. We'll rate his channel at the end. But yeah, give Tony a follow. It's a great dude, and he does some music, and he also does a podcast. I think that's a separate channel. The non-cynical podcast. I think I'm missing something in between there, but make sure to give him a follow. Give him a follow. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this at the video here, and thank you, non-cynical nonsense. I knew I was missing something. So it's non-cynical. It was something else, and then podcast. But thank you for. I said I knew you were going to type it, so thank you. So let's go ahead and take a look at this video here of the rescue.
Now to another story WJZ has been following for you tonight. Two men are recovering in the hospital after this car rolled into the Inner Harbor earlier this afternoon. One of the men recovering is the driver, the other, a sous chef from Phillips Seafood who jumped in to save him. WJZ was first to bring you this story through the WJZ News app. We're live at 11. Kelsey Kushner has been following the story all evening and was one of the first reporters on the scene. Of course, she talked with witnesses who saw the daring rescue. Kelsey.
Well, Vic, it's still a mystery as to how the car actually ended up in the Inner Harbor here, but it was the sous chef from Phillips Seafood, which is right next door. He was outside, he saw the entire thing happen, and he jumped in the water within minutes to make sure that that driver was pulled out alive.
Oh my goodness, a man in a car in the water.
Cher Briscoe was walking around the Inner Harbor Wednesday afternoon when she saw a white car plunge into the water.
I ain't know what to do. I was shocked when I seen the car in the water.
People, come on!
Within seconds, a sous chef from Phillips Seafood dived in to save the driver trapped behind the wheel.
He busted the front glass with his elbow. I don't know what I think it was his elbow. So they pulled the little ring over to right here and got him up.
Firefighters, police, and rescue teams shut down traffic and jumped into action to help both men get out of the water.
They took him out, they wrapped him up in a blanket, took him to the hospital.
Jeremiah Mayo got a front row seat to the life-saving rescue.
This is my first time seeing some stuff like that.
For 3 hours, neighbors watched in disbelief.
Lo and behold, the car's in the harbor. Like, unbelievable.
The crowd grew as the car was finally pulled out of the water and the men were taken to the hospital.
I'm hoping he be okay, but I'll hopefully the other guy be okay that saved him. Because that water too dirty for somebody jumping in there.
And police are still investigating the moments that led up to this incident, but they did confirm that the driver was having a manic episode at the time. They also said that both the driver and the chef were taken to the hospital and treated for minor injuries. Reporting live tonight, Kelsey Kushner for WJZ.
So yeah, that's incredible stuff there. And then hopefully, yeah, the chef and the driver is okay. But I was just looking at the video. I was like, how did he, in that small space, get the car in the water? But then there was like another opening. So, but that's very, very incredible. Like I said, someone's in the right place at the right time. Like I always say with these hero videos. So, that's incredible. You will never think somebody would plunge their car into a harbor and, and I guess he must have had an episode. It's a mental health issue episode there, but luckily, again, the driver was safe. The chef that saved him was saved and safe. So kudos to the chef for coming out there and making sure that the person, still alive, and hopefully the other person will get the help that he needs. So, but very, very incredible stuff to look at on that one. So chef breaks open sinking car's window with his elbow to save trapped motorists. And this is from Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for April 4th of 2023. All right, we're going to go on to story number 6 for this evening. And we're going to do another type of heroic story here. We're talking about water on that last one. Now we're going to talk about snow on this one. As a dramatic moment, skier rescued a snowboarder who was buried headfirst in snow and running out of air. And this is from Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for April 5th of 2023. So a skier rescuing a snowboarder buried in snow. So if you guys are ready, trying to figure, yeah, he's definitely buried in that snow. Like, I think that's just part of his hat that was in there. So we're gonna see an incredible story here. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started with our sixth story for this evening. So here we go. A hero skier saved the life of a snowboarder completely buried headfirst in a massive snowdrift. Francis Zuber, was maneuvering around the tops of trees and deeper powder of Mount Baker in northwestern Washington state, probably without any indication he might end up in the right place at the right time to be a hero. I say that a lot. It was a 1 in a million chance that Zuber spotted him at all. He had only just fallen off his own skis in the bumpy tree well just a few feet away from a trapped snowboarder. When he spotted the man's snowboard wriggling around just above a large drift, he realized it was still attached to someone below. Continuing on. From the downhill's perspective, a tree was blocking the snowboard from the view of oncoming skiers, and only because Zuber fell into an adjacent drift did he happen to see it. Francis's head cam shows him approaching the scene and asking, "You all right?" But after receiving no response, he hurries over as best as he can in the deep snow before removing his skis, pulling himself up the snow mount, and frantically digging with his hands. Zuber can be heard reassuring the snowboarder until the man's reflective visor pokes out of the snow, and then his mouth, at which point he takes a big gulp of air. Quote, "Thank you," the snowboarder says. "Yeah, no problem," Zuber replied, adding that they were both going to catch their breath. All I'll say for now is the mountains don't care how much skill or experience you have, Zuber wrote alongside his own uploaded video. They don't even care if you and your ski partners are doing everything right. Zuber recommends every backcountry skier and snowboarder try take the AVI-1, which is an avalanche safety and rescue course. Take an AVI-1 course and get trained on what to do if you find yourself in this situation. And always look out for each other out there, Zuber said. So an AVI-1 course. But let's go ahead and take a look at the video of the rescue here. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Do it. Oh shit. You alright? Come on. Come on. God damn it. Hold on, I'm coming. Come on. Hey, you alright? Can you hear me? Come on. Come on, help me out. Help me out here. You okay? You alright? Okay, you're good. You're good, I got you. You okay? Can you breathe?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Alright. We're both gonna catch our breath for a sec. I'm gonna help dig you out, okay?
Thank you.
Oh my god. Alright, how you doing? You good?
I'm good.
Okay, good. We'll get you out of here in a sec, okay?
Take your time, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you're good.
I think that's the first time ever that I've done this show that I saw something, a rescue that in depth. And again, that came from a skier's cam. I think a head cam or something. But I think that's the first time ever I think someone got rescued in depth. Just like, hey, we're doing this, and then all of a sudden, oh, someone needs help, or he saw him go under the thing and literally tried to save him. That's incredible to watch that. Um, all in that span. So I don't think I never showed anything that in depth and deep of a rescue on that one. But Scare again, like the story says, was there in the right place at the right time. So got to give kudos to the skier for helping out that snowboarder, because if he didn't see him, this would have been a lot worse. So just an incredible story of being there at the right time, literally being there at the right time and helping him out. So dramatic moment: a skier rescued a snowboarder who was buried headfirst in snow and running out of air. And this is from Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for April 5th of 2023. And welcome Icon 33 to the broadcast. So good to see you in here. Welcome to A Ray of Sunshine as we are moving on to story number 7 of 8. And I told him no need to apologize for I guess he wanted me to speak, but I try not to speak during the videos. That way people can hear perspectives of say, if somebody's giving an interview, or like the guy was there trying to save the guy. I kind of want to be in the moment, of how everything goes. But I do talk. Usually, if I read the story, I definitely will be talking. Um, but I do appreciate you being in here, though. Thank you so much. Nancy's in here. Hey, Nancy, how you doing? Welcome. Um, on this Wednesday afternoon, doing the show. How are you doing, Nancy? Hopefully, you're doing good. As we move on to story number 7, a couple saves $27,000 a year by moving into a houseboat. And it saved their mental health too. And this is from the Good News Network for April 9th of 2023. A houseboat. Something to be intrigued with. Nancy says not. Is it not good or not too bad? Quick question. Third season, like third year? Not literally a third year, because I think the first season of the show I done on another platform in 2021, and then the second season started in 2022, and I started this season late, 22 of last year till now. So I could say it could be like a third year though. But I just started this season a little bit at the end of last year. So I guess we'll call it a third year. We'll see that. Oops had an incident this week, knee surgery on Monday. Oh man. Well, prayers to you, Nancy. Hopefully the surgery goes well. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh man. Well, 3 seasons is still a great milestone. It is. It is a great milestone, and like I said, I wouldn't do it without you guys for tuning in and watching me for the last 3 seasons. So, really do appreciate you guys so much, and yeah, we're doing all these stories and all these videos for. It's kind of be intriguing to see how many stories I've done. I just roll with the show, but I should have taken some math of how many stories have I done, how many videos have I done. Because it'd probably be, it's probably in the hundreds, and wouldn't be surprised if I've done thousands. I could hit 1,000. So you never know. You're welcome, Nancy. Yeah, hopefully you feel better with the knee surgery there. Sorry you had an incident. And hopefully it's not too, I mean, I know it's a knee surgery, but hopefully it's not too serious as well. I write all mine down just saying, you do? Yeah, I just roll with it. Probably episodes I do keep in my head. So I think this is, after, at the end of season 2 was 100. I just wanted, after season 2, I did 100 and I stopped. So then we're on our 23, I changed it up a bit. So we're at 123 episodes right now. And I have done some specials, so it's probably more than that. It could be up to 150 episodes I've done so far. So, but again, it's without the support of you guys that I wouldn't be doing this. So, really appreciate you guys so much for doing that. Your memory is better than mine. I try my best. Okay, hold on. Fainted twice and had an ambulance ride to the ER. They found nothing after lots of tests. Wow. Fainted twice and had an ambulance ride. They found nothing after lots of... So yeah, something happened. I don't know. They should find something why you fainted twice. I want to say it can't be the... I mean, I don't know if y'all warmed up over there in Wisconsin with the weather, but it couldn't be the weather if it got too hot. Yeah, that's strange. Fainted twice and they can't find nothing on the test. That's kind of, yeah. For me, I always say take a second opinion somewhere else because there has to be some reason why you fainted twice. Dehydrated, hadn't eaten, drank a third of. Oh, okay. Essentially, I was drunk. Okay. Now that I understand it, yeah. I figured it had to be something with either you were hot, you didn't have water, something like that. So, yeah, dehydrated. I think that was it. So, yeah, but thank God you're okay. Thank God you're okay, though. And again, hopefully the knee surgery goes well, goes real well. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. I was also embarrassed. I mean, sometimes you can. I mean, to me, sometimes you can't help it. I mean, sometimes, but I just say to yourself, you're still alive. You're still here. Um, so that's all that matters. But I had everyone in the ER laughing. Oh, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that could. They said I made their day. I mean, it could have been if they go in, it's like, oh yeah, this lady here had a well, she fainted because she didn't eat none, but she did have a margarita. So I mean, I could see in their part that could be a little funny, but at the same time, you also had a knee injury, so um, I would took it a little bit serious as well. But like I said, you're here. That's all that matters, and it's hopefully you have a successful knee surgery. But um, very, 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 very interesting. Cup of Joe's here with a raid. With that one raider. Hey, Cup of Joe, how you doing, man? But my blood alcohol content was well under legal limit. Wow. So I think maybe you were, say, like if you drink something and you start feeling it a little bit. I mean, maybe, but um, yeah, I don't know how to solve that one if it was under the legal limit. That's kind of weird though. Whoop whoop. Hi Ray. Hey, Cup of Joe's in the house. How you doing, man? Don't drink. Yeah, don't drink. There's one advice you learned from the show: do not drink. Do not drink. Stay at home and drink. I mean, yeah, but don't. Um, but yeah. So that's kind of awkward. And like I said, um, you're here. That's all that matters. So I will forget. I will just like forget about it, or try to forget about it at least. Um, Joe's hanging there. Hey Jane, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. So good to see you all in here. So good to see you. And Jay subscribed. Thank you so much for subscribing. 11 months. Really appreciate you, Jay. Thank you for subscribing. All right. So let's go ahead and move on. Maybe this story will help Nancy out a little bit here. We're gonna try to cheer Nancy up a little bit. So now we got into a little chatter there, but it's always good to talk to people, and see how they're doing. So a couple saves $27,000 a year by moving into a houseboat, and it saved their mental health too. And this is for the Good News Network for April 9th of 2023. See, Nancy could take this boat, buy the boat, her and her husband, somewhere out in the Great Lakes, and have a houseboat. So, and they saved $27,000. So we're going to see how this became possible here. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started with our next story for this evening. I'm sorry I interrupted your show, but you did ask how I was doing. No, yeah, you're good. You're good. I did ask how you were doing. You were so good. You're good, and like I said, hopefully the knee surgery will go well. So, no, you're good. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. A couple gave up a life on land to live on a houseboat. In doing so, saved them $27,500 every year. Sarah Spiro and her boyfriend Brandon Jones spent $23,000 to buy a one-bedroom houseboat and moved in 2 years ago on Fontana Lake, North Carolina. Fontana Lake. I ain't never heard of that lake. All right, that must be somewhere in the mountains, maybe. Anyway, let's move on. Sarah said it was a no-brainer to move, and the duo pays $2,500 a year to be able to live there compared to their $2,500 each month for rent on separate two-bedroom properties. After living atop the water for 2 years, the couple has started renovating a bigger houseboat with plans to rent the smaller residence to vacationers. Quote, "We were always spending all of our free time on the lake," said Sarah, a 27-year-old mountain guide. "We were always boating. It was our favorite thing to do." Continuing on, it's been a long-standing dream of ours, and it's so cheap too. Here we only have one yearly fee. It is a huge step for us. The self-described water rats bought the boat in March of 2021 and spent 2 months renovating it, spending $23,000. So there's the couple there in the houseboat there, somewhere in North Carolina. I think that lake's in the mountains. I've never heard of that lake, so it has to be somewhere in the mountains. Man, my mortgage is almost $2,500, right? So there you go. We're about to take some lessons here of how they're living a life of luxury on the lake here. Continuing on, it is so peaceful here. You still have your day-to-day trends like doing the dishes and laundry, but you get to do it all in this phenomenal view at all times. Whatever the time, whatever you're doing, you are surrounded by peace and serenity. It is paradise. Their biggest challenge is the cold winter, with temperatures on most nights dipping below freezing. They did add a small fireplace in the corner of the room. Quote, you do have to make sacrifices convenience-wise. You can't get food delivered. The grocery store is 40 minutes away. You have to be more intentional about planning the things you need, but I wouldn't change it for the world, added Sarah, who parks their car at the marina, a 5-minute boat ride away. Most importantly, Sarah said that living on the houseboat has improved their mental and physical health. So there's the houseboat there. As we continue on, quote, it is the sensation of being out in a nice open space. It has benefited our nervous system. I wear a Fitbit watch, and it is crazy to see how my heart rate has decreased living here. My state of anxiousness is a lot lower too. I love the freedom it has given us. It has freed up our wallets and given us all the things we love right on our doorstep. It is also an affordable and more sustainable way to live. Currently, the pair are renovating a new cabin to move into and hope to start renting their current cabin out to holiday makers. Have a look inside the residence with the video below. So we will have a video here. Probably inside the house, probably. Before we do that, let's see. I must have missed some comments here. Hold on. Where's my mouse? There we go. Nancy says that will be fun, except when it comes to taking showers. Not cool during hurricanes either. Yeah. And what do they do during hurricanes? See? So here's the problem, and maybe why they might be safe from hurricanes. So apparently, I think this lake is on the mountains of North Carolina. So they're kind of in a safe spot because rarely hurricanes don't go to the mountains of Carolinas in case it goes from the Gulf. The only reason we'll go if it hits from the Gulf, it goes up. Makes a turn up and goes to the mountains. That will be the only way. It could be like a tropical storm or something, but so they're safe. They're not like on the Outer Banks or anything where, hey, you know, a Cat 5 storm's going to come and now they got to find a place to land. So, hurricane rise, they're probably safe where they're at. But Nancy brought up thunderstorms. Yeah, a thunderstorm, a big old thunderstorm. Yeah, that could be something to be worried about. So I don't know if this video will tell why, but that's a good question to bring up, like a thunderstorm or that, or you get a big gust of wind. You know, what will they do? We'll see. We're gonna look at the video, and I'll probably give more options afterwards. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Oops.
Interior tour of our floating tiny house. This house is 225 square feet inside and has about 500 square feet of dock space. When you first walk in, you'll find yourself in our main living space. This is kind of a combination area of a living room, office, and kitchen. I would say we probably spend about 90% of our time outside on the docks, but when we're inside, this is usually where you'll find us. Our fridge here is pretty cool because it can run on either electric or propane. Our house is primarily powered by solar, so we do generally run the fridge on propane just to free up wattage for other things. We use this cordless, rechargeable blender for drinks and smoothies and a French press for coffee. Also in the kitchen, we've got this small weather station so we can monitor how conditions are changing around us. Over here in the corner, we've got a breakfast nook / desk / kitchen storage. On the other side of the room, we've got a big old comfy couch, a wood stove, and the love of my life. This is our primary source of heat, and we're very lucky to have more driftwood along the lakeshore than we could probably use in our entire life. Back behind the kitchen wall here, we've got the bed nook. And that's pretty much all there is to this room. Well, I will say underneath the bed is actually our closet. We each have a drawer on either side, and this is mine. These are all of my clothes. We added a window in at the foot of the bed just to help make this smaller space feel less claustrophobic, more open, and give us some airflow at night. This window is pointing east, so there are killer sunrise views in the morning. Heading on back from the bedroom, the first thing you'll see is our washer-dryer combo unit. It's kind of small, but for 2 people, it's perfectly fine. Finally, we have the bathroom. As is true for the rest of the house, we've got exactly what we need and nothing we don't. All of our black and gray water gets stored in a holding tank directly under this part of the house that gets pumped each week. Our toilet is a macerating marine toilet. It saves us a lot of water because instead of filling up the whole bowl every single time, you get to choose exactly the amount of water that you need to use, nothing more. Other than that, the only difference between this and a normal toilet is that we use marine TP. We've been living in this house for about 2 years, ever since we fully renovated it by ourselves. Right now, we're actually in the process of building a brand new floating cabin. We plan to live on this new one and Airbnb the one that I just showed you. If you're somebody that might be interested in checking out our build process and following along with the journey of how the heck you even build a floating house on the water, would definitely encourage you to check out our YouTube channel where we are sharing that journey in more detail. And if you're somebody that thinks that this lifestyle looks pretty cool and might want to come try it for a couple days, we would love to have you here in our home. We will share on here, of course, when the listing is finally up, so stay tuned.
So I thought of a couple things while that was playing. So they do have a weather station in the house. So I'm assuming if there's like a storm or coming, I'm pretty sure they will know. Maybe ahead of time what's going to happen and see if they will take plans on what to do with the houseboat. Also, I was thinking about a couple of drawing those emotes. I thought, oh, maybe if Randy would look at this, he could have a houseboat. I thought about that. And also, they have a YouTube channel of their building process. So it is in the story that will be posted on my Discord afterwards. If you're interested in how they built the houseboat, I'm kind of a little bit interested myself to see how they built it. But I know Nancy says that's pretty cool, except in the winter. Yeah, winter they will have a problem in the winter, but like they got a little house, a little heat stove there, so maybe that will help them. And Gay says it's better than a car. I agree. It is better than a car. It's better than living in a house. I mean, look at that. Look at that. A house in the water. And you just sail along. I mean, that's kind of not bad. It's kind of not bad. Just have to find the right geography for it. So you don't have to worry about, like we explained earlier, hurricanes. Winter weather, probably where they're at, it will snow a lot. It will be very cold and snow a lot. And probably some of that water might freeze too, if they're still in that water as well. So they have to think about that stuff. I think winter will be the bad part for them. Being that lake instead of summer or anything. Winter will probably be the worst for them, being in the water. So, but anyway, other than that, the concept's not bad. I kind of really like what they did. So, just something to think about on that. So a couple saves $27,000 a year by moving onto a houseboat. It saved their mental health too. And this is from the Good News Network for April 9th of 2023. All right, let's go ahead and go on to our last positive stories before we get to videos. And this one I saw on the news yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday or Monday. I saw this on the news, and thought maybe we'll end it on a on a good note here. I think that and the previous story we did, this one will be ending on some good notes here. So I don't know if y'all caught this. This kind of gained national news. A moose walks into an Alaska hospital for lunch or maybe to get a PET scan. And this is from Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for April 11th of 2023. A moose walking into a hospital. How about that? I need to go, Raymond. I want to catch quotes if you have them. Oh, really? Sure. I do have a couple of quotes. I'll check your Discord. Yeah, I have a couple of quotes for this evening. So I definitely will post them on the Discord, Nancy, if you want to check them out. All right. But again, hopefully you have a good surgery Monday for your knees, and I'll be praying for you. All right. Um, all right. Take care, Nancy. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at our last story for this evening before we get to videos. So here we go. In Alaska, amazing animals are simply part of the scenery, even as it turns out in the hospital. Fancying a snack from the foliage in Anchorage's Providence, Alaska Health Park's Cancer Center, it was last Thursday that a moose decided to walk into the building. Its hooves were no impediment to the motion-activated door, and soon the security staff had to get on the intercom to warn visitors, patients, and staff that a moose was on the loose. However, the announcement served mostly to draw people in to see the moose, which wasn't the first to ever enter the building, nor has it only been members of the deer family. Providence has also had bears trying to enter their facilities. Quote, the Providence Hospital Park had an extra special visitor today, as a moose decided to come inside and check out the plants in the lobby, the hospital wrote on Facebook. And there's the Facebook post of the moose in the hospital. The moose on the loose. All right, so we continue on. Security managed to corral the animal before it could damage anything beyond the plants. Quote, finally, I think it had enough of everybody watching him eat, said Randy Hughes, the hospital's director of security. So I think this is the video of them trying to get the moose out of the hospital here. So hopefully we can play it and see it here. Let's take a look. Having a moose in the hospital. How about that? So, um, I think they're in Alaska, so I mean, they're probably familiar with this, and also they did say they had mooses and deers and bears before in the hospital, so I feel like this is like a common practice for them to like, oh, there's an animal in here, let's try to get it out of here. So, but that'd be incredible to see. I have never seen a moose in my life, so if I saw that, I'd be like, yeah. I've never seen a moose up close and personal, so but that's kind of strange. But again, I guess the animals love the hospital over there in Alaska. So a moose walks into an Alaska hospital for lunch or maybe to get a PET scan, and it's from Andy Corbley of the Good News Network for April 11th of 2023. As we are going to go ahead and go on to positive videos now. And tonight we're going to have 2 inspirational videos, and I'm planning on 2 positive videos, but I do want to raid the mental health hour at 6 or whenever Tim gets on. So if I have to do just 1 quote, I'll probably save the other one for next week's show. So um, but we're definitely gonna get through our inspirational videos tonight before we go on and get one of those quote videos out the way as well. Joe's coming just as lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! The moose was chased by them silly goose, right? Someone scared the moose into the hospital. It was like, hey, boo, boo, boo. Oh, look, a hospital. They ain't gonna do nothing. All the animals go away, and the moose is still stuck in the hospital. Oh, that's funny. All right, so our first positive message, inspirational message, snippets of messages of when your life is hard, what to do, what inspiration are they giving you when you're stuck somewhere in life. So we're going to go ahead and look at this video here. So I'm 14 minutes long, but it should be a good video. So let's go ahead and take a look at it.
Fraught with suffering. This suffering stems from our mortality and fragility. As well as the malevolence that we face both from ourselves and others. This existential problem can lead to bitterness, hopelessness, nihilism, depression, anxiety, and even substance abuse as a form of medication or escape. These adverse effects can manifest themselves in various ways, further complicating our lives. However, there is a way out of this labyrinth of suffering, and that is through taking responsibility for our own lives and striving to make the world a better place. It is necessary to confront the suffering in our lives head-on and adopt responsibility as our guiding principle. Life is hard for everyone to some degree, and we all face challenges and difficulties. Some people undoubtedly have it harder than others, and we all experience trying times at different points in our lives. The question then becomes, what can we do in the face of such adversity? The answer lies in taking responsibility for our circumstances and struggling uphill to overcome them. By finding something in our lives that is so worthwhile and meaningful that it justifies the suffering we endure, we can begin to make sense of our existence. Life is undeniably rough, and when good fortune or happiness comes our way, we should be grateful for it. But what is the best antidote to life's discomfort? Comfort may seem like the obvious answer, but a more effective remedy is found in the pursuit of excellence and the spirit of adventure. As a psychotherapist with over 20 years of experience, I've witnessed unimaginable horrors and people who have been hurt in countless ways. It is natural for such individuals to question whether they should be bitter, resentful, or even violent in response to their suffering. However, none of these reactions are helpful. Instead, they must struggle uphill despite their excess burden and embrace responsibility rather than guilt. The concept of the female crucifixion, exemplified by Michelangelo's Pieta, captures this idea beautifully. Mary cradles the broken and destroyed body of Christ in her lap, displaying the bravery of a mother who not only allows her child to face the dangers of the world, but facilitates that journey. It is a reminder that while the world is dangerous, remaining sheltered and dependent is even more hazardous to our soul. In today's competitive world, young men, in particular, face competition for status, limited resources, and the attention of women. Being nice is not enough to guarantee success in these competitions. Intelligence and industriousness are essential qualities, but improving them remains a challenge. However, being industrious can involve developing a strategy to solve problems and sticking to that strategy consistently. For instance, organizing one's study schedule and assignment due dates on a calendar can help avoid last-minute cramming and reduce stress during exam periods. The pursuit of truth and love as the highest ideals can guide us through the adversities of life. Cynicism, while an improvement over blind naivety, is only the beginning of the journey towards wisdom and understanding. Ideally, we should live our lives as a playful adventure, engaging in optimal challenges that stimulate and fulfill us. By organizing our lives and the world around us, we can embark on the adventure of a lifetime in a spirit of play. This balance between adventure and play is what we need and desire to thrive. As we navigate our lives, it is crucial to recognize the consequences of not speaking the truth. In my clinical practice, I have never seen anyone escape the consequences of deceit. When faced with a difficult decision, it is essential to rely on our judgment and not compromise ourselves with falsehoods. By contaminating our souls with deceit, we risk making grave mistakes that can lead to our undoing. It is vital to be afraid of the right things in life, and we should fear the consequences of contaminating our souls with deceit more than anything else. If we fill our minds with nonsense and falsehoods, we may eventually find ourselves in a situation where we cannot rely on our judgment when it matters the most. In such moments, when the stakes are high and the difference between life and death, or even worse, the suffering of others, hangs in the balance, our compromised judgment will lead to devastating mistakes. To find greatness and meaning in our own lives, we must set what is great against what is tragic. We must observe our lives closely, paying attention to when we experience moments of respite from our suffering. By being honest with ourselves and asking when we are not as miserable, we can begin to identify the curative elements in our lives that are connected to our purpose. For example, if we find that our depression is partly due to isolation, we can work on increasing the time spent with friends or seeking out new friendships. We can also work on honing our social skills and developing our sense of humor, as these can serve as powerful weapons against the tragedy of life. In conclusion, the key to navigating the hardships of life lies in embracing responsibility, pursuing truth and love, and engaging in a playful adventure towards excellence. By confronting our suffering head-on and making the conscious effort to better ourselves and the world around us, we can find meaning and purpose in our lives. We must remain vigilant against deceit and falsehoods, focusing on cultivating our judgment and integrity. By doing so, we can face life's challenges with courage and determination, transforming our suffering into a journey of personal growth and self-discovery. Ultimately, it is through the pursuit of truth, love, and excellence that we can overcome life's adversities and chart a course towards a more fulfilling, meaningful, and adventurous existence. By committing ourselves to this path, we can not only alleviate our suffering, but also forge a life that is rich, rewarding, and imbued with a sense of purpose. When you find yourself in a situation where you don't know what you're doing, where you are, or where you're going, you're in a precarious and dangerous position. This is because you're in unmapped territory, and who knows what lurks in such a place. If you're so disoriented and confused that you're unsure of your bearings, spiritual predators, far worse than snakes, await you. The likelihood of your descent from aimless, joyless anxiety into nihilism, corrosive bitterness, and ultimately genocidal fantasy is incredibly high. Nowadays, it seems that the most common desire people express is their wish to be happy. This simple desire, however, is not so straightforward. In fact, it's a preposterous slogan. When someone says they want to be happy, they're essentially asking for unending bliss, regardless of their actions. This is no small request, as it's akin to wishing for permanent residence in paradise. But upon closer examination, even this desire for happiness isn't wholly accurate. What people genuinely mean when they say they want to be happy is that they don't want to suffer needlessly. We are more concerned with avoiding an excess of negative emotion than with experiencing a surplus of positive pleasure. Yet even in terms of avoiding misery, this is not entirely accurate. What is truly evident is that we crave a compelling adventure, one that makes life suffering not only justifiable but worthwhile. As we look back on our lives, we want to be able to say, that was really difficult, but you know what? It was worth it. We long for a life filled with adventures so great that they justify the difficulties we encounter. So, the question arises, where can we find the great adventure of our lives? The answer lies in truth. By embracing truth, we embark on a journey whose outcome is shrouded in mystery. And this uncertainty forces us to let go of our preconceptions and dive headfirst into the unknown. When we live in truth, it is us, our authentic selves, who undertake the adventure. In contrast, when we rely on deception, we allow it to take control, and it becomes the force guiding our lives. It is important to recognize that deception is not just our own creation, but a spirit that possesses us, convincing us that it is part of our very being. Falling into the clutches of deception is a dangerous path to tread. The world is built upon the notion of sacrifice, as exemplified by the crucifix, the altar, and the church. The proper sacrifice is at the center of our communities. What constitutes the proper sacrifice? It is the voluntary willingness to bear the weight of our own cross. Our cross represents the various catastrophes we face in life: betrayal, death, pain, suffering, and injustice. To carry our cross, we must let go of our narrow ego and pick up the burden of life voluntarily. By doing so, we transform our struggles and transcend our suffering. It is crucial to ask ourselves if we have something we need to say but are too afraid to express. If this is the case, then the problem lies with us. Though we may be scared to speak our truth, we must consider the consequences of remaining silent. We must recognize the perils that come with allowing others to control our speech. It is far better to endure the temporary discomfort of speaking our truth than to suffer the long-term consequences of allowing deception to guide our lives. We should strive to engage in a process that encourages not only our own growth, but that of others as well. By cooperating and fostering growth in one another, we create an environment in which everything flourishes. This ethos is not arbitrary, as it is based on the premise that without such cooperation, nothing can thrive. Furthermore, this principle is not relativistic. It is something we must adhere to regardless of our circumstances or chosen path. If we embrace this principle, we are doing well in whatever it is we undertake. In fact, this principle serves as a definition of what it means to do well. When we give up psychologically, we can cut our losses in reality. This is the essence of thought, to engage in abstract contemplation, to avoid acting out our pathologies in the real world. However, this still means that we have something to give up, something we must confront. We must actively engage with the metaphorical dragon that has burned us. By embodying voluntary confrontation, we can overcome the involuntary stress response and move forward into the world. It is important to recognize the difference between the mature I that takes into account the long-term consequences of our actions and the impulsive hedonistic I that seeks immediate gratification. When advocating for hedonism, we must be wary of falling under the sway of an impulsive, short-sighted demon. Constraints and order rather than limiting our freedom can actually enhance it. Take music as an example. It operates under a sophisticated set of rules, yet within these constraints lies an almost infinite array of possibilities. We should consider the idea that an optimal set of principles can yield the most desirable freedom. This freedom is not an escape from all constraints or an unrestrained indulgence of desires. Rather, it is a nuanced and balanced form of freedom. In conclusion, the pursuit of truth and the willingness to confront our challenges will lead us on the great adventure of our lives. By embracing a cooperative and growth-oriented mindset, we can create an environment where everything flourishes. Acknowledging the difference between the mature I and the hedonistic I will help us resist the temptations of short-term gratification. Ultimately, a balance between constraint and freedom will pave the way for our personal and collective growth, as well as a meaningful and fulfilling life.
All right. So that's the video there of when your life is hard. When your life is hard, complications, what's going on in life, what you do. And I know he gave like a whole bunch of stuff, but in my conclusion, when life is hard, you gotta keep trying. And this is what this next video is going to be about: working harder than everyone, um, which is the next video up. But you know, work hard. Um, um, Try to better yourself. Um, Life will get us down. Life will get us down, and we just have to fight back. Fight back. Um, it could be a number of things we have to fight back on. Either telling the truth about something, um, you know, um, it could be in a financial situation. How can you better yourself on that? Um, it's a lot of stuff in life. Lots of variables in life that we have to um, combat and make better, and hopefully keep that trend going. And that'll be one less thing. So it's a lot of variables in a hard life, but same time, um, we just have to, you know, fight back and work harder. And this is what's going to be the next video here: working harder than everyone. So we're going to take a look at this. This is about a 10-minute video. And then after that, we're going to play one version of quotes tonight because I do want to raid Tim and Gemma, which Gemma is here. Frank is here too. Frank wants to be recognized. Hello, wake up. Hello, everyone. I'm here. Who's here? So good to see you, Frank, but also so good to see Gemma as well. Hopefully she feels better. She said she was under the weather, um, but she's feeling all right. So tonight, AEW, I will probably look at it tonight again and see how it is. All right. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this next video here. Again, working harder than everyone else. Again, it's another inspirational video. Let's go ahead and take a look.
How many of you can honestly look yourself in the mirror and say, I am doing my best. Because if you can, you're fucking lying to yourself. Your best is a moving, evolving, changing scale.
The grind is real, and everything that you do up to this point and beyond will depend on you. Are you a grinder? Are you determined? Are you willing? Will you go that extra mile? Will you put forth the effort that is necessary to get what it is you're seeking in your life?
You can always do better. You could always do more. You could always improve. You could always find a way to get a better result and to sharpen your skills. You guys are always looking for that extra thing. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to buy this program. I'm going to join this mastermind group. I'm going to go to this seminar. None of those things will replace the fucking work. There is no shortcut. There is no way to make it faster. There is no way to make it easier. You've got to do the fucking work. You can't go through life looking to do the minimum and get the maximum. If you want the maximum, you got to fucking do the maximum. You guys got to go all in. You can't stick your fucking toe in the pool and say, oh, you know, I don't know, this kind of feels weird. No, you have to dedicate every fucking breath, every fucking ounce of energy, and every fucking thought and effort that you possibly have to becoming what it is you want to be.
When you are a true hunter, you don't go by time, you go by the gazelle. You don't hunt from 8 to 3. Why? Because the gazelle may not be open from 8 to 3. You hunt until you get a gazelle, and you don't stop until you get one. And then you get another, and then you get another, and you get another.
Every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month, every fucking year, for as long as it fucking takes, you should be consumed with that path. What you do at night matters. What you do in the morning matters. What you do on Saturday, what you do on Sunday matters. The success clock doesn't give a fuck what day it is. It's gonna run no matter what. If you wanna get where I think you wanna go, you better learn to get really used to being uncomfortable.
Because you want some different kind of results in your life, you've got to be willing to be unreasonable. If you want unreasonable results in your life, you've got to be willing to be unreasonable. Part of being unreasonable, you don't judge according to appearances. Part of being unreasonable, you concede because you believe it. That's part of being unreasonable. Part of being unreasonable, you must have the faith to call forth those things that be not as though they were. That's part of being unreasonable.
Listen to me, this is how you do it over 6-7 years ago with no money, no human resources, no building, no funding, no support. The first thing we did was we dreamed, we wrote the dream down, we slept the dream, we ate the dream, we rehearsed the dream, we looked at the dream, we talked about the dream, we slept with the dream, we woke up to the dream, we wore the dream, and now boom, it's our reality.
And so I started going to work earlier. I started being the last one to leave there. I started working harder than anybody else. The other guys could not. Why would you work so hard, Les? I said, I'm not working for them. I've been cheating myself and my family. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, do it with everything that you have. Develop the habit of giving more than what you're paid for. Develop the habit of setting standards that others will be measured by. Someone said, do not go where the path may lead, but go where there's no path and leave a trail.
We can't work out without purpose. We need to get into our dress for the wedding. Summertime's coming, so we want to look all good. The biggest purpose in life isn't all it. It's how you respect yourself, how you look at yourself. That's an everyday journey. So every day you should be getting after it. We look at determination, self-discipline. We look at hard work. All these terms is almost like we dread them. So don't look at them as dread and punishment. Look at those words as a lifestyle. Stay hard.
Betray your destiny and see how long it takes you to be drowning in a storm. It'll happen immediately, and of course it will, because What's calling you to be your best is exactly the thing that's pushing you forward to manifest yourself most fully in the world. It's what you need. You run away from that, the boat's going to start to rock very, very quickly. Well, what does that mean? Well, what else would come out of chaos? You know, if you fall apart and then you put yourself back together, what is it that comes back out? At least you're in better shape than you were before, you know, and then maybe you do that 20 times in your life, or 50 times, and you do it voluntarily.
In short, 92% of the average person's worries take up valuable time, cause painful stress, even mental anguish, and are absolutely unnecessary. And of the real legitimate worries, there are two kinds. There are the problems we can solve, and there are the problems beyond our ability to personally solve. But most of our real problems usually fall into the first group, the ones we can solve if we learn how.
You cannot be great being a lesser version of what already exists. You can only be great when you execute against your own potential and do your own development. And that means getting up there and looking like a clown. If you want to be great, if you want to be one of the best that's ever fucking lived at what you do, you have to understand that it's about developing our own skills. It's about developing our own style. It's about developing our own swagger. It's about developing our own selves.
And what mountains could we move, I think? What gridlock could we eradicate if we were to join forces and work together in service of something greater than ourselves? You know, my deepest satisfaction and my biggest rewards have come from exactly that. Pick a problem, any problem, and do something about it, because to somebody who's hurting, something is everything. And what I know for sure is that the biggest choices begin and end with you, your internal big questions. Who do I want to be in the world? My relationship to source energy, to all that is God. I'm not talking about what you believe in God. I'm talking about your experience of that which is all life, which is divine and universal. I'm talking about the big deal. Being connected and aligned with that. When you are tuned in and charged into that, whenever you feel empty, you go inside yourself and you connect to the source, and you know that all things are possible.
Your life doesn't have meaning without aspiration or an aim. Okay, so you need a hierarchy of values. There's got to be something at the top. It's got to be something important. If you don't have that, your life doesn't have any meaning. So if you criticize the hierarchy, or even the idea of hierarchy, you destroy the idea of aspiration, and then people have nothing. Well, that's not helpful. People are built for a struggle, and they're built for a weight, and you want to take on a heavy burden voluntarily. See if you can put yourself together. See what you can do out in the world while you're waiting to die. It's an all-in game. It better be worthwhile. And so there's a tight relationship between responsibility and aspiration and hierarchy. And when you criticize those things, you get rid of the aspiration. We are thrown challenges, and that in some sense those are best construed as tests of our ethical ability. So what Jung thought, his idea was something like this, that at the beginning of time, people were unconscious, and that consciousness emerged with all of its catastrophes, consciousness of death, for example. And one way out of the burden of consciousness was to return to unconsciousness. You can do that with alcohol. You can do that by being dependent. You can do that by failing to grow up. You refuse the burden of consciousness by becoming unconscious again. But there's another way forward, which is to become even more conscious. So the idea would be a little bit of consciousness is like an illness, but if you can expand that consciousness upwards enough, then it starts to become something that is its own cure. and that partly what your goal is while you suffer through life is to heighten your consciousness to the point where everything gets integrated enough so that that's proper medication for the disease of self-consciousness.
All right. So, working harder than everyone in life. That was the main topic on that second video there, and I kind of corresponded with again with working. You know, when life is hard, and I feel like they correspond real well. Um, it corresponded real well with the message of the first video. There is never give up, try hard. Um, Forget what the naysayer says. You're in control of what you do. So, and it's sometimes the stuff it can be hard, but we have to learn how to combat, um, you know, the hardships of life, and try to move on to better ourselves and better our lives and all of that. So I thought that was a great little message to bring along for the show tonight. With those two kind of, I want to say similar, but kind of have the same messages of what to do with the hard life and also working harder. So, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Now, we're gonna go ahead and close out with. I'm just gonna do one of the quotes tonight, and the other quotes I will do for next show next week. So we're gonna close this out with some quotes from Mr. Ernest Hemingway. So if you guys are ready, this will be our last video for this evening, and let's go ahead and take a look at it.
So many women with whom you can sleep, and so few women with whom you can talk. The world breaks everyone, and afterward, some are strong at the broken places. The most painful thing is losing yourself in the process of loving someone too much and forgetting that you are special too. The rain will stop, the night will end, the hurt will fade. Hope is never so lost that it can't be found. Never delay kissing a pretty girl or opening a bottle of whiskey. Go all the way with it. Do not back off. For once, go all the goddamn way with what matters. Night is always darker before dawn. Life is the same, and hard times will pass. Everything will get better, and the sun will shine brighter than ever. Now is no time to think of what you do not have. Think of what you can do with what there is. We are all broken. That's how the light gets in. There is nothing noble in being superior to your fellow men. True nobility lies in being superior to your former self. The man who has begun to live more seriously within begins to live more simply without. Man is not made for defeat. A man can be destroyed but not defeated. Worry a little bit every day, and in a lifetime you will lose a couple of years. If something is wrong, fix it if you can. But train yourself not to worry. Worry never fixes anything. Every man's life ends the same way. It is only the details of how he lived and how he died that distinguish one man from another. The first and final thing you have to do in this world is to last it and not be smashed by it. There is nothing else than now. There is neither yesterday, certainly, nor is there any tomorrow. How old must you be before you know that? This is how you live life. And if you stop complaining and asking for what you never will get, you will have a good life. Fear of death increases in exact proportion to increase in wealth. The best ammunition against lies is the truth. There is no ammunition against gossip. It is like a fog, and the clear wind blows it away, and the sun burns it off. No, that is the great fallacy, the wisdom of old men. They do not grow wise, they grow careful. Work every day, no matter what has happened the day or night before. Get up and bite on the nail. No one you love is ever truly lost. When people talk, listen completely. Most people never listen. I like to listen. I have learned a great deal from listening carefully. Courage is grace under pressure. Cowardice is almost always simply a lack of ability to suspend functioning of the imagination. Going to another country doesn't make any difference. I've tried all that. You can't get away from yourself by moving from one place to another. There's nothing to that. The human being is the only animal that can laugh, even though he has least occasions for that. Every day is a new day. It is better to be lucky, but I would rather be exact. Then, when luck comes, you are ready. I love to go to the zoo, but not on Sunday. I don't like to see the people making fun of the animals when it should be the other way around. Cowards die 1,000 deaths, but the brave only die once. Happiness in intelligent people is the rarest thing I know. The best people possess a feeling for beauty, the courage to take risks, the discipline to tell the truth, the capacity for sacrifice. Ironically, their virtues make them vulnerable. They are often wounded, sometimes destroyed. Always do sober what you said you'd do drunk. That will teach you to keep your mouth shut. There is no lonelier man in death than that man who has lived many years with a good wife and then outlived her. If two people love each other, there can be no happy end to it. The thing is to become a master in your old age, to acquire the courage to do what children did when they knew nothing. To make any woman instantly miss you, you need to do two illogical things. Stay unavailable. Don't pay attention to her. Be afraid of a friend who often says flattery to you. To flatter means to tell a person exactly what he thinks about himself. Life is pain. so live it up while you can. You cannot stop trusting people in life, but I have learned to be a little bit careful. The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. The smallest coffins are the heaviest. When you have a child, the world has a hostage. They wrote in the old days that it is sweet and fitting to die for one's country. But in modern war, there is nothing sweet nor fitting in your dying. You will die like a dog for no good reason. There is no friend as loyal as a book.
So, that was Ernest Hemingway. Sorry, Ray, but this one is a bit dramatic and extreme. True, some of it. But like I said, some of these quotes, like, first of all, Ernest Hemingway, you will never, okay, novelist, but for some reason, he has some good quotes and he has some that you might want to question. So, and this is not the first time that I had someone on this that's like, oh, well, he has some goods and then there's some you have to question. But sadly enough, that's how some of the quotes are on some people. And the mind kind of wonders what were they doing? What were they doing while they were thinking about these quotes? So some of them, like I said, these quotes, you never know what you get. You never know what you get with these quotes, which is either kind of intriguing to think about, hey, this famous person really said this. So it could be an eye opener as well. So these quotes, sometimes we like to get the good of it, but sometimes it can also be the bad of them as well. I mean, if you want to be loved by a woman, ignore that. I saw that, but like I said, I don't know what was going on at that time. At that time, like I said, he could have been upset. Maybe it could be he could have had a breakup. It could be something. You never know what will be in their process or their minds to say that for some reason. So it's kind of very interesting to see, and there's probably has to be like a history with that as well. So very, very interesting interesting stuff about Hemingway there. But some are good, some are questioning, and I always said when I did the first one, I said I'll leave that up to y'all with that. But we could get some good quotes in the batch, and we can also get some worse ones in the batch as well, which is kind of again interesting to see what these folks that we've known about in history say about stuff like that. So and it could be again an eye opener to even think that a person that we were like, oh, okay, he did a great novel, but you think about the quotes he said, and it's not well. So, but that's Ernest Hemingway, folks, right there with those quotes. It's like half and half on that one. But thanks for a great stream, mostly. No problem, Jane. No problem. Next week's quotes will be better, Jane. I will make that a promise to you. We'll make next week's quotes better for you. All right. All right. So that's the end of our show for tonight. It is 6:09. I'm pretty sure Tim's on right now. But I will close out real quick on where we're going to go to next, real quickly. Tim and Gemma were in here earlier. We're going to rate them in a minute. They had a great broadcast last week of Live Q&A 5, and they're doing a part 2 tonight. They got 15 more questions to get through, but 30 questions they had altogether. And thanks to the people that watch the Mental Health Hour, I think that's the most ever Q&A they ever had. So we're going to rate them in a minute. And also, Jim's on tonight with Catalyst. Make sure to check him out. He's doing the Camel Scope. You tell about your day, any topics you want, all under a candle. 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific tonight. And he also does Saturday Night Trivia, which is back also at 10 p.m., 7 p.m. Pacific. I am done for tonight. We're going to go ahead and rate Tim now. Tim and Gemma, they should be on right now. Trying to find to see if they were, but I'm pretty sure they're on. Somewhere down this list. Yep. So we're going to go ahead and rate them. And hopefully everyone has a good night. I should be back on regular schedule next Tuesday. So hopefully I will be back on regular schedule Tuesday night. But again, I really do appreciate you guys being here. Jane, Frank, invalid username, huh? Come on. Hold on, I can't do it on here. I don't know. All right, let's try that again. Or maybe I ain't supposed to put the at. Anyway. All right, there we go. So, thank you again, Jane, Frank. Who else was in here? Nancy, Tim and Gemma. Of course, they're doing their show right now. Tony was in here, and there was a new person in here. But anybody else that I missed, thank you guys so much for being in here. I really do appreciate you guys. And let's go say hi to Tim and Gemma over at the Mental Health Hour, all right? So till then, be positive, stay safe, be kind to one another, and hopefully you guys have a great, great evening, a great rest of your week, all right? Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.